for the second act of our show today about the Bungie audio team, we're going to have a live panel discussion about voice acting. And
this is live?
This is live.
Oh
this is
God.
live. So we have a rated T for teen game, so let's all sort of compose ourselves. We're going to start over here with C. Paul Johnson, who is Bungie's audio director. Welcome to the stream.
Hey, everybody. Well, my job is to be creatively responsible for all of the sound that's in the game. So, and the basics of my job is to play the game a lot, understand the story, understand what the audio needs are for our game, and make sure that our team is creating the best stuff we can for the game that we're making.
Introducing our next panel discusser, we have Morla Gorondona.
Yes.
The voice
I like it when you say it with the R too.
Morla Gorondona.
That's fun.
If I see a double R, I have to roll on that. Morla is obviously the voice of Eris Morn.
It's a true story.
And in the pre-show, there was somebody asking questions in our chat window here. What is your favorite line of dialogue from the game?
That's a good question. I think a fan favorite is definitely fingertips on the surface of my mind.
Thank you for your input.
Yeah, yeah, right, exactly. But me, I love the 1 little, 2 little, 3 little hive. You've killed so many, now none are alive.
Fantastic.
Which
I wrote that line.
incidentally, it's a good line.
Audio director and writer.
That's right.
Right.
It was
It's a
live.
good
We did
line.
that one live.
It was fun.
Yeah.
They just kind of settled it in very nicely.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me here.
And then moving along, we have Kirsten Potter,
Hello.
who is the voice of Mara Sov, Queen of the Arif, Queen of the Awoken.
Queen of the universe.
Queen
I
of
think,
the
just,
universe.
if you want to
Goodness.
just expand it a
Yeah,
little.
we've had a field promotion right here on the show.
Just, yeah, internally.
We need to write that.
Get on that.
That's right.
What would you say is your favorite line of dialogue from your character in the game?
It's got to be Marasav bows to no one. Because, that's awesome.
It is very indicative of the character, too.
Yes, yes, absolutely. She's formidable.
And then last but certainly not least, we have CJ Cowan.
Oh, I'm the least.
No, certainly not. In fact, you are the creative story lead, correct?
That is correct.
Brand new title for you.
It is a fairly new title.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, the story team is actually a pretty new org. We're just over a year in for this group of people that have become known as the story team, where we've been hiring a bunch of people, bunch of writers and producers, and across the board. We're up to over 40 now, I think. And the story team's responsibility is, in a studio of 700, making sure we're all telling the same story instead of a bunch of different ones. Moving everything forward. So yeah, that's my role.
Fantastic. So we're going to talk pretty exclusively, given our special guests, about voice acting today. How many actors does it take to screw in a light bulb? And the answer is 100. 1 to screw in the light bulb, and then 99 to stand off in the wings and say, I could have done that so much better if only I'd been cast.
Yeah, there's that.
Yes.
I could have told that better.
You could have told that joke.
Wow,
So
it starts
meta.
now.
So meta.
All right.
But you have been cast,
No.
and you do own these characters, and there are many people in our community who play the game who respond so deeply to your voice. You add such a human element to our game. How did you come to own these roles? How did you come to get cast in Destiny?
Started out working in sound design and just coming up with those screeches and those sounds of the hive, and I figured that was it for me. I was like, wow, I get to be a part of Destiny, and that's cool. Done. And later, I was approached for Eris, and the story I was told is that they wanted, or Destiny wanted, Bungie wanted someone who had an intimate relationship with a hive. Eris was born from that.
If Eris is talking to us over comm channels and we're fighting the hive, I can hear your voice. I can hear you in the sounds of the thrall that are attacking. I can hear you in the sounds of the rounds that the boomers are launching that are flying past my ear. I mean, how many different sound effects do you contribute to in that encounter?
Oh, I don't know.
Like most of them.
Including
Or
Omnigul,
all,
right?
sorry, Morla.
And-
What's that?
yeah.
Omnigul too, right?
Yes, she played Omnigul as well at the same time. Right.
Has that been difficult to deal with, like a multiple personality disorder?
I'm in therapy, but we're working through it.
You also did the sound effects for the gunfire of the Suros regime,
That's right.
which is an exotic auto rifle. in
Right,
the game.
right.
Now I'm getting
She's
way
also
too-
the
way
sound
excited.
of the Death Singer's song in Taken
that's right.
King.
That's right.
When you're at, not Crota, or yeah, Crota's
yeah,
tomb, and there's the four singers. Like, that was the sound of Eris as well.
Quite a range.
Yeah.
Quite a range. And then on to you, Your
Wow.
Highness.
I just play one thing. Like, that's all I do, just one.
But you're the queen of the universe.
I got brought in to audition for a voice thing, which I'd done a lot in LA. I was 7.5 months pregnant. So I assumed it was just voice.
Yeah.
And I remember coming into the room.
I
Do you
forgot
remember
about
this?
that.
This
Yeah.
was so bizarre. So I walked into the room and I see a table of weapons and a guy that I'm supposed to play the scene with. And it was pretty clear that I was actually supposed to get up and play the scene. So I said, can I have 5 minutes to go memorize these pages? I went out, I memorized, I came back in, and I thought, all right, screw it, let's just do this. And I picked up a weapon. I picked up a knife, a big knife. She was, the queen was a bit more hands-on and aggressive in this incarnation. And I grabbed the guy by, I think, the hair, and brought him into me and put the knife up to his throat and did all my sassy pirate queen lines. And I went to sort of take him out. I brought him a little closer to take him out with the knife. I mean, for, pretend. And my distended fetus that was growing in my abdomen at the time, before I had a chance to eliminate him with my weapon, took him out, like with my stomach, knocked the poor man. I recall it was to the ground. I don't know if it was. Okay,
We've
yeah.
got video of this.
Do you really? Oh God.
Now they're all going to demand to see
Tape,
that.
yeah, that's right.
What became a she, took him out first, and so together, my uterus and I got him eliminated. And
right.
It's a family affair.
I got the part.
So aside from not being pregnant,
Yes.
how has your approach to the queen's character changed over time?
She's evolved a lot. So I started with this team how old's Miller? 4.5 years ago. And at that time, I had a dagger. I think I had another weapon. I had lots of weapons.
You did.
I was fighting people physically. I loved it. I mean, it was really angry, sassy, tempestuous pirate woman. And the powers that be analyzed and reanalyzed and decided this was not where this game was going. And there was a big break, and then after a long gap, we came back in, and we're sitting around a table, and it was a bunch of, really, I was very intimidated, a bunch of people I didn't recognize, and this is the new story. And she's feminine, she's removed, she's soft, I think was one of the words I was given. I've never been told to be soft, particularly before. She's light, she's vulnerable, and they said that the queen is having a journey. And this is the beginning, and don't show all your cards at the first, in the first round. And that made so much sense.
We got big plans for you.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you to get that feedback from a player and to be like, okay, well, this person doesn't want to play that role that way. We want this person to play the role. Like, how do you incorporate that into your process?
It made us love Kirsten even more, and we'd spent 2 or 3 years working on the previous version of the Queen, where she was the pirate that she described, and very powerful, and had the lower, deeper voice, and really got gritty in an amazing way. And so we'd seen that, we knew that you had that in you, and we felt like if we could start at a different spot and get to that eventually, and this is totally spoiling like Destiny 2020 or something, but when we get to that world down the road where that original pirate queen comes out, I think it's gonna be a really powerful moment.
Fantastic. So when you're
Spoilers.
and you're both local, so we're able to
Yeah.
bring you right here into the studio. We have recording facilities right here inside Bungie. You saw some of those during the Vidoc.
Yeah.
Favorite stories from visiting Bungie and you know, being in the booth and working with these jokers?
It's
These
always
gentlemen, these esteemed colleagues.
Yeah.
It's always fun. It's always it's very much like visiting friends, visiting family, and yeah, I think I don't know. Story the cookies.
Oh, yeah.
Cookies is a good story.
Yes, Morla brought us cookies. It was wonderful.
She gets to play all the parts.
I know.
Baked goods.
It was awesome.
Should have thought of
I
that.
like to bake. I like to bake.
They were
and
still
so
warm.
Wow.
I made a bunch of batches and brought them in.
Yeah.
It was a later session, so the cookies went straight from the oven
Yeah.
to Bungie.
Yeah.
And I
Did you
remember-
run any red lights so that they'd be still warm when
Heck
you showed
yeah.
again?
Heck yeah. I got pulled over, but I was like, I'm going to Bungie. It's okay. I'm like, all right, it's no problem.
Are those cookies still warm? Follow me.
Not for long.
The unfortunate thing is with 700 people in the studio, you spend all that time baking cookies and they're gone like that.
Yeah.
As soon as they left the booth.
I still get people like, I haven't had any cookies yet. When are they coming back? Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys are into cookies.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you
Well,
bring us any cookies?
not any cookies.
You wouldn't want my cookies. I
Okay,
guarantee.
all right.
I'll bring you some scotch. I can do that, but cookies,
Scotch, okay.
right?
Okay,
Now
we're
I've
talking.
said it out loud.
I don't have a favorite moment in a session though, because like both Morla and Kirsten, they come in and they just become that character, and it's like this awesome performance to watch, right? And like, you know, for me, it's the most fun we get to have. That and recording orchestral music, right? Those are the best times working in game audio. So
You mentioned before that you've done a lot of the motion capture for the character of Mara Saab.
Yeah.
So not
That
just
was
the voice, but you also contribute to the way she carries
Yeah.
herself, the way she moves, the way she occupies the space. Talk to us a little bit about that. Like, how is
Yeah.
that different than being on a stage or being in a booth? It's a little bit of both, right?
It is. Actually, theater is a pretty close tie-in for that kind of work, especially in the round, because when we would record, there'd be, I think, a dozen cameras. It's a blast. But I remember the first time I got to see the work that is done after our work. You know, when you've got all this stuff and the cape and the stuff. And there was the walk. I don't know if this ever even made it into the game, but there was this walk down the stairs. And I remember watching it going and laughing because, you know, she kind of slithers down the stairs. And I said, you guys CGI'd the hell out of that to get that walk. And they all started laughing. They were like, no, that's just you.
That's all you.
That was you. I don't walk like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did when you were her. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, the thing that we found on the mocap side is that the stage actors that we've worked with have such a good sense of how their body moves because they need to have a performance that can be read from the back of the theater, and so a lot of what you guys do is body language, and you're able to adjust to those notes really quickly because you're very aware of how you're moving.
It is fascinating to try to absorb someone else's way of moving. We all have such a unique movement signature
Yeah.
that to try to be that other way it's fun.
And I think there's a handicap involved here because a lot of actors will tell you the costume you wear, the shoes you wear help you connect to the character.
Yeah.
If you're wearing stormtrooper armor, it's going to create a very different performance than if you're wearing Renaissance era
Right.
clothing with
Corset.
flowing cuffs
Yeah.
and a corset and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You get a spandex suit
With golf balls.
with reflective little points of light all
Yeah,
over the
yeah.
place, and all that would help you connect to is like a Pilates instructor. So it's really, I mean, the mind
Yeah.
game is a huge
You
part
do
of it.
have to pretend a lot.
Okay. You talked a little bit during the VIDOC about the fact that we get dynamic dialogue from these characters.
Yeah.
So if we approach Eris Morn in the tower, be it through the story arc in Crota's End, or The Dark Below, or during The Taken King, Eris is sort of aware of our progression through the story. Eris is
Yeah.
aware of our evolution as a guardian.
yeah, not only Eris, every character in the game
Yeah.
has that ability. We've built a pretty neat dialogue system that can digest where you are in the investment game and where you are in the story and what your class is and what your race is and what time it is, because there's a dynamic weather system, and those are all things that we can use to to do switches on the dialogue, right? So we'll do these big sessions with these guys and other people where, here's 1,000 lines for you to read, one off, right? And we use that to fill out this whole world. So if you just beat the raid, you go back to Eris and she knows that.
Yeah.
Right, which is awesome.
So how do you protect your performance? You're given 1,000 line of dialogue.
It's more like it's supposed to be 500, but we always put too many in.
Sure, exactly. Well, it's like a sculpture. You start with a whole slab of marble, and then you whittle down to, and that's something that I think, we could do a better job of explaining to the community. People talk about cut content. I want to see the stuff that you're talking about. There's certain things that we will achieve that just don't end up being perfect for the product that we end up wanting to create. So you give yourself 100 lines, and if you whittle it down to 50, those are the best. Anybody who's ever edited an essay or anybody who's ever taken an eraser to a sketch understands the concept of iteration and sort of narrowing in on the best stuff. And that's really a lot of what we do here at Bungie. But for your part, you have to go in and you have to record all 1,000 lines of dialogue. Tell me what it was like when Crota died, or like, I'm aware that you're a badass and you got a shiny new gun, or what. I think I'm paraphrasing. Yeah, you think that's a heck of a Soros regime.
Yeah. No more writing for Deej.
That's the
No, I got some good ideas for a video game. But how do you? I think if I was asked to record 1,000 lines of dialogue, after a while, I'd just be like, yeah, you did good. Okay, yeah, it's like, how do you guard your performance, and how do you keep your energy up during that much voice acting?
Well, it's exciting. The lines are exciting, and the character is exciting, I believe in the game, and so it's just wanting to make sure that every line is important. I don't know where it's going to fall in the game, so I want to make sure that everything has the energy that it needs. It's part of the session. It's just making sure that you maintain energy, making sure that my voice is warmed up sufficiently, that I have everything that I need to assure the energy, and that I don't lose my voice at the end. It's important. So therefore, the energy has to. There's what's the alternative?
Morla could do 2,000.
2,000, 3,000?
Yeah.
How long
Easy.
does a session like that last?
They're 4-hour sessions.
4-hour sessions.
4-hour sessions.
Yeah.
15-minute break every hour, that kind of standard thing.
Sometimes
Not
more
bad.
when
Yeah.
she brings cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of Eris Morn to take home with you. On the other side of this clip, we're going to have you talk to Air Bubbles. I'm sure that's not her real
don't
name.
think?
No.
Okay.
We all have assumed identities in our community for our own safety. We all tweet and chat from an undisclosed location. But,
Can I just comment on that? Because I didn't recall meeting you prior to this morning, but I've communicated with you
Yes.
in various modes, and I had a very different image of what Deej looked like. I was picturing like
God.
a 6'5" African-American man with like cheekbones and probably headphones on that was gonna really scare the shit out of me when I got here today. And so I was like, he looks like a theater guy and like a stand-up comedian. I like this. This is so much safer than
I'm just a basic white dude. Back to Air Bubbles. Not her real name.
Right.
Her question is, can the actresses tell us when they get ready for a scene, how do they prep or step into character? So let's take a look at this scene.
Okay.
We'll have you both answer this question. But when we come back from this clip, we'll have you tell us exactly how you got into this character and right before playing the scene.
I remember everything about the day I was born. I still bear the scars. The Awoken are my family now. And I am their queen. We fought to keep our beautiful creation safe. And now this beast has come, claiming to be king. Mara Sav bows to no one. You and I know how this ends. We've known since you escaped from that pit. The Awoken have played their part. This was all part of the plan. Guide them, my hidden friend. It is all up to you now.
So the queen is dead, but long live the queen.
Right? Yeah.
Actually, CJ, is the queen dead? Chat wants to know. Is the queen dead?
I don't know. Actually, that's what's great about it.
Yeah, you have a blank canvas upon which we can paint for the next 10 years.
I can't spoil anything if I don't know.
Okay, very good. Back to Air Bubble's original question. That's a heavy scene.
Yeah.
Mara Sav
Yeah.
going to war, falling in battle.
Yeah.
Whether or not she'll ever get back up is a question to be answered in a future release of Destiny.
Yeah. Shown
But how do you prepare for something that heavy? How do you step into a Mocap Studio or a booth
Right.
and deliver a performance with that much weight and gravity?
I mean, to me, the best acting, you don't do any acting. You don't do any acting. Just respond. Mm-hmm. Just take whatever's given to you and respond to it as you think she would. So I had a lot to respond to in both the booth take and in this take, mm-hmm. Or the booth take and the mocap take that didn't get used. And I don't know. I do a lot of living inside my own mind.
Sure.
And the story gets described to you, and you imagine it. And I don't know, the writing was beautiful. It makes it so much easier to work with good writing. Yeah. I've done both, and I prefer good writing. And yeah, it's just, I mean, it's pretend. It's the best gig in the world, because what would you do? And you get to explore that, and you get a couple takes at it, and it's just so much fun to understand her. And I've gotten to live with her for 4 years now. Mm-hmm. And obviously she's evolving, or, she's dead. But you get a sense of her, you grow with her, and it's exciting when she takes an unexpected turn.
So prior to a session like that, what would you equip a voice artist with so that they have an understanding of what you need?
Well, unfortunately, we usually come in with our lines pretty hot, so, like the day before.
Yeah.
Now, we have a lot of discussions about, what those, especially a line like the ones we're talking about here, that are so important, that are the start of the game and the cinematic beginning. right? And those lines are the hardest lines to really land on. And there's tons and tons of discussion. We do a lot of table reads internally with our bad acting, and then we walk into the booth with, these two ladies are great examples where you put that line in front of them, and it's been in our heads for a few months, and we all kind of, the writers and ourselves kind of have our own idea of what that line's going to sound like, and then the second you guys say it, it's so much better than anything that we had imagined. And then it gets better from there, because then we start riffing on it, we start talking about it, you guys have new ideas about it, and it just really elevates everything. It's always a pleasure to watch.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That particular session, I remember we made sure that was all we were doing that session, so that there was plenty of time to
Right.
get that right, because it mattered. So
Yeah.
we weren't doing 500 lines of ambient dialogue right before or after that, right?
Yeah.
We had plenty of time to do that.
Pretty important scene. I mean, it's one
Yeah.
of the first things that
Yeah.
they'll see playing the game. It's going to set the mood and the tenor for the entire player experience over however many untold hundreds of hours.
Yeah, and I remember, I'm pretty sure we were done in an hour, but
We did finish that one.
we got it
quickly.
done, but we made sure there was plenty of time to do it, and we try to give all the context that we possibly can in advance so that these guys can be ready.
Yeah.
So Morla, what's your pre-show process? You're playing a very different type of character. What do you do to get into the right mindsets before you can deliver Eris to the mic?
Well, when Eris was described to me, it was such a clear. Originally, I had such a clear vision of her experiences, and one of the ideas that was given to me was that she, the idea of going down into the pit, going into this place where you really should be running away from. It actually reminded me of. I'm from New Orleans originally, and it reminded me of returning to New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, and like going into this place that everyone is supposed to be running away from. And that just really, that idea stuck with me, and that took me to a place vocally that I actually am speaking in right now.
Yeah, sure.
And so before sessions, I allow myself to go there. I allow myself to experience and remember what that is, what that was like going down I-10, heading south on I-10. And I also have some music that I listen to. I have my vocal warm-up that I do for sure. And then in addition to that, I have some music that I listen to. There's a song by Dead Can Dance called Indus that always gets me right into the headspace for Eris.
While she's baking cookies.
While I'm baking cookies.
That's right.
And then, and I'm thinking about, it's weird. It's about juxtaposition, really, actually.
That's right.
I'm curious how many people in our audience are now like opening a separate browser window, going to YouTube,
Right.
Dead Can Dance.
Yeah.
Indus. Yeah.
Indus is spelled
INDUS.
keyword search go. Well, I think we're at the end of our show. This was a great conversation. Thank you so much for coming and visiting us in our space today.
Thank you for having us.
Once again, if you're watching at home, please thank Morla Gorondona, the voice of Eris Morn.
Yay!
Thanks.
And Kirsten Potter, the voice of the Queen of the Universe. May she forever reign.
Is she?
Or
Yes.
not.
Right. Or
CJ Cowan from Bungie. C. Paul Johnson from Bungie. And of course, I'm Deej from Bungie. It's my pleasure to host you today. We will have another show just like this one next week. Clan Resolute, calling you out, putting a price on your heads. We're going to be talking about clans, why it's cool to be in clans, why we built Destiny with clans in mind, and then we're going to go play the ultimate team sport in Destiny. We're going to play some Rift. So we're looking forward to that conversation, and as promised, we are upstairs working on new things for you to do and new things for you to play, and in one of these shows coming very soon, we'll talk about all of what is yet to come. So hang in there. Bear with us, because there's some exciting things coming your way, and those will be conversations that we have in the near future.